Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. With all the conflict and strife in the world, I thought I'd bring something home to where you live. And it's something every one of us has to deal with. And there's a war on you. You're just not aware of it yet. Let's talk about food. I've talked about food prices in the past, but I haven't really gotten into breaking down on how they manage to raise the bar on food items that might be considered less than ideal. So let's get started. Chicken wings. Everybody's had chicken wings. They're pretty good. Well, matter of 60 years ago, chicken wings were considered virtually inedible. That's right. If somebody ordered them, they were only going to go into the stock pot, maybe make some soup, maybe make some gravy. That was all they were considered good for. Until one bar owner's wife accidentally ordered chicken wings instead of chicken necks. That's right. She wanted chicken necks, and she got chicken wings. Well, she couldn't turn them into soup because there were so many of them. There would be more soup than her customers could ever handle. So she deep fried them, put some hot sauce on them, and lo and behold, nowadays you can't get chicken wings for less than a buck a wing. I can remember in the 90s going out to an establishment of refreshment, shall we call it, and chicken wings were, the really cheap ones were 15 cents each. You could get them easily for 33 cents each. And you would order platters of these things and just pour your beverage of choice out of your pitcher and just keep eating them until you ran out of money. Nowadays, well, you can check the prices yourself, but if you were going to order a decent amount of chicken wings for you and your friends watching the event of your choice, you're not getting away with a bill less than 40, 50 bucks. So what was once a throwaway item, valued less than the chicken necks, is now a premium item. That might sound isolated, but no, it isn't. But I'll give that credit for being more of a natural demand. People wanted the wings after that. Let's look at lobster. During the 1900s and during the 1800s and 1900s, early 1900s, lobster was considered disgusting. It was what poor people ate. Prisoners actually rioted so they wouldn't be fed lobster more than 2 or 3 times a week. It was so low that prisoners rejected it. But then, smart chefs started marketing surf and turf. You got this disgusting thing, but it came along with a steak. And suddenly people started eating it and finding it tasty. And now lobster, the cheapest I can find, is 2 tails, and not even big tails, for about $10. It's what's called an artificially created demand. People made it look sexy, surf and turf. And therefore people's perception of it changed. Now, lobster prices are going up because of demand and because, let's be honest, the lobster fields have been fished extremely well. So the population is not as mature, they have to put more back, and they have to spend more money maintaining it. All because of a marketing plan. Bacon. Bacon was always a cheap food. So what's left over? It's pork belly. Put some salt on it, let it sit for a little bit, fry it up, you got bacon. Pork belly. In other words, just the pure fat. Now I know there's more than fat to bacon, but I'm just breaking down what it essentially is. Well, back in the 30s, one marketing genius decided to come up with bacon and eggs. and market that as a complete breakfast. That did wonders for the popularity of bacon. But then in the late 90s and early 2000s, the marketing geniuses struck again. And so they started putting bacon on everything. You can go to McDonald's and have a bacon put on your cheeseburger, hamburger, quarter pounder, Big Mac, whatever it is. Burger King, Wendy's, no matter what it is, unless they're halal or kosher or something, they're going to have bacon that they can throw on your food of choice. And because of that, bacon prices went through the roof. I've often talked about my beer and celery dialectic, where you simply can't get them at the prices they once were. Well, let's move on to celery. Why is celery so expensive? A couple of reasons, but probably the most notorious one was the celery diet. Came out, was it 2018, 2017, in that time frame? And yeah, before that, celery was pretty cheap. But just by marketing this quick and easy, in air quotes, weight loss diet, the shippers and producers could put their prices up. Now, let me be clear. Fishermen are not making very much more for lobster than they were 30, 40 years ago. Farmers are not making a lot more per pig or per celery stalk than they were 30, 40 years ago. All of their expenses have gone up, but their income has not. So farmers out there, the one or two of you that I know listen, this is not an indictment against you or your people. Farmers are essential to the nation. But you guys are getting the short end of the stick, just as the end consumer is. This is how a supply chain operates when things are going their way. Now, right now, there are farmers markets, and they're becoming more of a common thing. However, at this point, at least in Canada, where it's winter transitioning into early spring, the farmers don't have a lot of excess stockpile. They've gotten by on what they have with root cellars and refrigerators and stuff like that, but celery doesn't keep months. Apples keep for months. So you'll get a good price on apples, you'll get a good price on potatoes, but for tomatoes or peppers, yeah, it just wasn't happening. What's the way out of this? Well, there's two easy ways out of it. The easiest way is just order in. Because right now the prices of ordering in and the prices of making it yourself are gosh darn close, although the restaurants are starting to spike. I know this because I go on the ordering places every once in a while. I just randomly pick a restaurant and see what they're offering because it amuses me. And also because there's certain restaurants you would never discover just driving around. And right now, honestly, I have to say, to make a burger, homemade, and to go to McDonald's is about the same price. Now, I'm sure McDonald's is going to come up with a price increase shortly. Because the problem is, they know they have a monopoly. Kids scream to go to McDonald's naturally. Adults, when they have nothing better to do, turn in. Not far from where I am, there's a combination McDonald's and Tim Hortons. And you just don't take that road between the hours of like 7 o'clock in the morning and 10 o'clock in the morning, around whenever lunch hour is, of roughly noon, and again between 4 and 7 o'clock at night, because people are rammed into those two drive-thrus. They're out on the street, and it's horrible. Meanwhile, I come home, I open my fridge, and there's food. Right now we got some chicken legs, some carrots. I might do a coleslaw. Haven't decided. The point is, they've already come home and eaten by the time I'm still cooking what I'm doing. I'm probably saving a little bit, and indeed, I could probably keep peppers year round. We pickled some peppers, make your Peter Piper joke here, and we did a big jar of them. And right now, we don't really care Because aside from a couple of recipes, those pickled peppers are perfectly good. Take a handful of them out, put them on your hot dog, your sausage, whatever you might have, and it works out pretty darn good. But that's our main weapon to use to try to force food prices back down, learning to preserve food. Because everything goes on sale eventually. Take eggs, for example. It's not too hard to make a pickled egg. Is it the most tasty thing in the world? Depends on your recipe. But people use pickled eggs for years. Yes, a fresh egg is better. Gordon Ramsay is right. Fresh tastes better. But in our current economic climate, even a family making decent money where both spouses are making $50,000 a year, which a lot of people are aspiring to make, it's difficult to have everything that you want. Had a conversation with a good friend of mine the other day, and he said, eating a lot of pork lately. Oh, why? And he said, well, I want to go out and buy a steak, but the pork chop is $7 and the steak for the same amount is $12 to $13. He's making the right decision, economically at least. He's denying his taste buds simply because the prices are so high. Now we're going into spring. Slaughter is not until August, September, October in that area. Not sure. Sorry, my knowledge of farming is very limited. So we're going to be putting up with these high prices for quite some time. But another thing I've noticed, again, going through restaurants and shopping magazines and stuff like that, just kind of background research, and also so I know what's going on. But processed food is always cheaper. You want a hot dog? No problem. We'll give you beaks and cheeks and everything else, and 10,000 preservatives, and it's cheaper than the price for actual chicken. Even though work went into processing it, it winds up being a cheaper product. And we know it's filled with horrible carcinogens and everything else. But people like hot dogs. McDonald's. I don't know how many tons of beef they use per year. And, at this point, they've served the entire planet several times over. Or they could have, with the amount that they put out their doors. But they use a cheap, mass-produced patty. No insult to the cows that gave birth to the patty or anything like that, but it's not particularly engaging. It's a slab of beef, salted to high heaven, and cooked in a clamshell grill. People pay money for that. But to make your own hamburger at home, ooh, that's a special occasion. Given the laws of your particular city, it may not be possible to raise pigs at home. But most municipalities allow you to raise chickens. Now, let me clarify. I have considered this, and I'm not cold-hearted enough to kill something that I've been taking care of. So, and also my city has this really weird ordinance where you're only allowed 2 chickens. So, yeah. You're going to spend all that money keeping the thing over the winter. You're going to, feed them and all that sort of stuff. And you can't let it die off naturally. You got to be killing that thing. And I don't know how many eggs you get out of 2 chickens, but I'm guessing it's about 2 per day. So that's just a no-go in my opinion. It's a disincentive to become self-sufficient. But that's what we have to do. We have to relearn how to preserve foods. I'm sure everybody grew up with a family that at some point you made jam, which is really just boiled fruit with a bit of pectin added in. Leave it for a little bit. Bingo, you got jam. Like I said, pickled eggs. You can usually still get a deal on eggs. And yeah, I would personally throw in some thyme, some fennel and stuff like that. Perk the flavor up a little bit. But it's a way to preserve something that when you can get a lot of it, it's great. We have to strike back against the production companies and let them know we can react the same way they do. Preserve what we can. Milk, make it into ice cream. Look it up. It's not that hard. You might need to buy a little bit of equipment, but rather than let it go bad, make ice cream. Summer's coming. Your kids will love you. And if your kids won't love you, your friends will love you when you make a milkshake when they come over. Learn to preserve your food. Banana chips. A dehydrator is not that expensive. We know bananas go from fresh to brownish crap within a day or two. So cut them up, throw them on a dehydrator, go to work, come home, you got banana chips. We have to use the weapons that we have, because we're never going to win going out and protesting. But we can win by being self-sufficient and by not falling for the latest diet craze, whatever it is, because they've decided that kumquat production way outstrips what they're being sold for, and they need to sell more of them. So they come up with add kumquat to whatever it is. Avocados. Remember they were cheap, and then they started marketing the hell out of guacamole? There's tons of examples. The only solution is to be as self-sufficient as possible. So look up preservation techniques. There's tons of them. People have been preserving food for at least 20 to 30,000 years from what we can tell. Because think about it. If you're a small tribe and you kill something as big as a mammoth, and there's 10 of you, you got to be able to preserve it. You might live in an apartment, so smoking might not be an option, but you can still do biltong, which is basically sun-dried. You have an oven. You can still dry stuff out. Look up preservation techniques. And then maybe in 6 months to a year, producers are going to start realizing we haven't fallen for their tricks. And hopefully the prices will start to drop. And maybe we can have a little more money in our pockets for a change, because it's better in your pocket than in theirs. We'd like to thank you for joining us for the Silverlight Show today. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit like, share, subscribe. I don't advocate hitting the alarm bell because I find it always goes off at the least convenient time. But I do suggest go down to the description, and Silverlight offers several books that directly contribute to this show and its production. So if you'd buy a book, it would make everything a lot nicer. No Patreon, no subscription service, nothing. Just if you want to give something to me, I want to give something to you. Other than that, we hope you have a fantastic day.